Rama Screen is now on audio. So download Rama Screen as a podcast on iTunes so you can listen to the reviews, interviews, discussions, and the weekly show Rocking It with Rama Screen anytime, anywhere. What up? This is Rama Screen covering movies, TV, and entertainment, and here's my review of Netflix new movie Polar, starring Mads Mikkelsen. And I'm not gonna do jump cut style for this one, mainly because the movie has already launched on Netflix officially today. So I got to screen it the other day, and so we're just gonna do this one take straight up, giving it to you guys right here, right now. Um, did I enjoy this film? Yes, I do enjoy this film. Some of the adjectives that comes to mind when I screened it are Polar is brutal. Polar is graphic. Polar is not for the faint of heart. And Mads Mikkelsen is excellent in being brooding. And if you are fans of movies about assassins or hitmen, then yes, this will definitely quench your thirst. This is definitely your cup of tea, your neck of the woods, if you will. So yeah, let's get to the plot synopsis here. Based on the Dark Horse graphic novel Polar Came from the Cold by Victor Santos, the story is about the world's top assassin Duncan Vizsla, aka the Black Kaiser, who is settling into retirement when his former employer marks him as a liability to the firm. Against his will, he finds himself back in the game, going head to head with an army of younger, faster, ruthless killers who will stop at nothing to have him silenced. Okay, so I am not familiar with director Jonas Ackerlund's body of work. I know he has a new movie coming up called Lords of Chaos, which I am very interested in screening. The trailer really looks promising. But yeah, I'm not familiar with the stuff that he has done in the past. That said, his directing style in this one is so similar to Tony Scott's directing style. Tony Scott, the late great director Tony Scott, who gave us such movies as Top Gun and Man on Fire. So this is similar to Tony Scott's directing style and later on in his career, that frenetic motion, right, and slice and dice editing, and making the visual in each sequence kind of pop. Um, so that's the style that you will see a lot here in Polar, and especially the fact that Polar really enjoys giving you the details in like really quick flashbacks, or at least bits and pieces of it. Um, so when somebody describes something, when a character describes a story, you will see that story. You will see that sequence, and so that's definitely Tony Scott style. But the script itself, you know, you can also categorize Polar as somewhat of a crime comedy, because anytime the assassins do their killings, there's some comedy that comes within that. Which is why I also think that Polar kind of reminds me, or at least the humor of it reminds me of Guy Ritchie's gangster comedy movies like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and Snatch, where these bravado gangster mafia people or characters would do something, and there's some funny thing happening while they're doing their act. Um, Now let's mention some of the downsides or some of the negatives here, at least some that I could point out. Uh, the big mob boss is played by Matt Lucas, and Catherine Winnick plays, like, I guess you could say, his right hand woman, but she doesn't necessarily work for him. And Matt Lucas's character is so bombastic and so loud and so eccentric. But he's one of those characters that when he's faced with danger or threats, he cowers. He cowers behind his bodyguards, or he gets scared. So that's the kind of villain he is. It's like, oh, he acts tough, and like that's the persona he puts on. But he kind of gets squeamish, like, oh, don't kill me, whenever a threat against his life is about to happen. Um, so he's entertaining to watch, Matt Lucas, definitely, but unfortunately to me, his character is a bit one-dimensional. The whole time I was watching him, I was like, okay, what's the story with this guy? What's his story? And the film doesn't really give much of that to us, although I think Matt Lucas does a fine job with the material that was given to him. With what it is, Matt Lucas runs with it. And there's a scene in which he even describes about some torturing of William Wallace, the character from Braveheart, and Matt Lucas does a fine job of delivering that speech. Catherine Winnick in this one, oh my God, her character is so irresistible. That's the word I'm looking for. Um, Again, still a bit one-dimensional like Matt Lucas, but so deliciously bad. Like in one scene, she even feels giddy about slapping strippers' butts. um, so she's happy about living the lifestyle of not the rich and famous, but lifestyles of the sexy and dangerous. And so I guess that makes him also a bit of a Black Widow femme fatale kind of persona. So yeah, this is definitely not the Catherine Winnick that you see in Viking series. All right, before we get to Black Kaiser, Matt Mikkelsen, the assassins, the team of assassins or the mercenaries hired by Matt Lucas's character to hunt down Black Kaiser, they provide some of this film's interesting moments or funny moments and bloody moments. Um, that's where, as I implied earlier, that's where the Guy Ritchie-esque element kind of comes in, because it's as if that these assassins get kind of bad intel. They're like, they go from one house and it's like, oh, the guys in this house don't know shit, so they kill him, and they go to the next house. Oh, Black Kaiser's not here. We got the wrong information. We got the wrong house. But they killed the person in the house anyway. So you kind of feel bad for anybody who crossed their paths, because that will be the end of them right there and then. It's like they might be clueless. They're like, who's Black Kaiser? We don't know nothing. Why are you in our house? And um, because that's their order. They take no prisoners and they leave no witnesses. And the way they kill these victims are, I guess that goes to my next point. Is the violence, or is the action sequence, is it creatively staged? I would say so. Um, Very creative. Very, again, it's not for those of you who feel squeamish at the sight of violence, because this film really, really shows you, like, here, you know, go see it right in your eyes. Um, I think the cinematography and some of the direction complements the violence and the action themselves. Um, it makes it look very stylish and inventive. Um, and again, as I mentioned earlier, because of the Tony Scott similarities in style, it really brings it to pop. Some of these action sequences. Um, yeah. Now let's get to the Black Kaiser. Um, Before I lose my train of thoughts. Now, Black Kaiser is played by Mads Mikkelsen. He is a badass. He's like the ultimate top hitman. And wow, in one of the scenes, he kills this guy with, I think, using a drill or nail gun, and it's on places on his body that makes you like cringe. I'm not gonna go into the details. But clearly, again, as I mentioned earlier, this movie really wants you to see it. All right, so graphic. Uh, there's no there's no innuendo. There's no suggestive. It's not like it's being suggested and then the camera would pan somewhere else. No, the camera was like, hey, go see this act. um and Mats Mikkelsen, I've been a big fan of his for quite some time, and of course he's not new to violence this level. He's a guy who played Hannibal Lecter on a TV series, so so he seems very comfortable. He seems to be in his element in this film, and Matt Mikkelsen really captures that brooding hitman that's about to retire. Now, speaking of which, stories about assassins doing one final job right before walking out into the sunset and then getting betrayed by their former employer. That's nothing new. We've come across stories like that before. So in that respect, um, I guess you could say that Polar is a bit formulaic, or it's an overly used formula. Um, but here's what I find very appealing about Black Kaiser and his arc is that he is kind of like John Wick if John Wick is older. As you may know, John Wick Chapter 3 will be him getting hunted down by everybody that wants bounty on his head, right? That's a big load of money. In this one, the assassins are hunting down Black Kaiser, and Black Kaiser's a bit older, and Black Kaiser is he's more of an expert because he's been in this business long enough. So he's like John Wick. And there's some sequence where Mads Mikkelsen makes his grand entrance. It reminds me a lot of John Wick. So you can make that comparison or parallel. But also at the same time, the story of him and Vanessa Hudgens' character, that also reminds me of the currently new season 2 of Punisher. Oh, because Punisher hangs out with this kid on that season that he feels very protective of. So it's not necessarily a babysitting work, right? It's not a babysitting work, but it's out of it's out of obligation, it's out of compassion, it's out of debt, that he feels very protective of this kid. And that's the same thing that happens here with Black Kaiser and Vanessa Hudgens' character. So it's just, I find that to be interesting that, in this, as we're anticipating John Wick Chapter 3, and as The Punisher Season 2 is already out on Netflix, you come across a movie like Polar that kind of blends the two aspects in its own way. And Mads Mikkelsen, man, he's a fantastic actor. He's so good at he stays silent, and he'll say a lot just by staying silent. He's one of those actors that doesn't have to say much, but he can say much just by being a man of few words. So yeah, talented guy, really worth watching. That stoic face, Matt's really masters that. So overall, I would say it's nothing really too original, nothing new. The concept is nothing too groundbreaking. Again, it's things that you've come across before, elements or aspects that you're like, okay, this has been done before in the assassins themed cinema or assassins themed movies. Um, that said, the way it delivers or executes it to you, the way it executes itself to you, I think it's very interesting to watch, very visually appealing, visually arresting, and because of that, I really enjoy it, and the comedy or the humor really works. So yeah, if you have time to check out Polar on Netflix, the new movie Polar, I highly recommend it. And that's it. That's my review of Polar. Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and share this video with all your friends on the YouTube verse. And as always, subscribe to my channel, press that like button, ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And if you can help support Ramascreen channel, please do so at patreon.com/Ramascreen. Let's rock this.